FFK means fight for freedom in Hong Kong. I know in the US it means, I guess it's more like anti-Trump.
Yeah, I've seen those memes all over everywhere, but good to know.
Yeah, and the shirt that you picked is very good today.
Well, I can't take credit for this. This was all my wife's picking and choosing. So let's give her credit.
Great. Now, I guess today we will start by sharing one Bible verse, and the core message is how this episode of Kingdom Hour relates to Hong Kong's fight for freedom. Yeah.
So we're going to be starting out by Romans 5:3-4.
Okay.
Not only so, but we also glory in our suffering, because we know that the suffering produces perseverance, character, and character, hope. And hope does not put us to shame.
嗱，我哋呢個咧係呢節嘅聖經金句咧嚟自羅馬書第5章3至4節。不但如此，就是在患難中也是歡歡喜喜的，因為知道患難生忍耐，忍耐生老練，老練生盼望。So it's important to remain, to have hope, no matter in what extreme circumstances that we are in. Yeah. And I know, Richard, you have a few questions to ask. Oh, wow. For the first time.
I have a few questions to ask you.
Yeah, usually me interviewing you in the last few episodes, but go ahead.
Well, as I've gotten to understand the Hong Kong situation and what's going on there, and really come to talk to you about the trials that you're going through, tell your audience, tell the people that are watching, what are your trials, what are your goals that you're aiming for?
Well, I left Hong Kong more than 3 years now, and as you know, 5 years ago we had this one big social movement, the fight for freedoms in Hong Kong, and by doing that, over 2 million people came out to march on the streets in Hong Kong and fight for their freedoms. The reason behind it is because Hong Kong people at that time truly believed that one country, two systems would be intact, and then the Beijing government and the Hong Kong technocrats, they would really honor that. We would have 50 years of a non-intervention policy. Mm-hmm. But it abruptly got stopped after 23 years of operation. So from 1997 to 2019, that came to an abrupt end. And the enactment of the national security law came into effect in the middle of 2020.
Yep.
So everything was fast track, so to speak.
Kind of in the middle of COVID, when no one was paying attention, and everybody was caught up in the whole COVID crisis.
Yeah.
Use that as a tool. What are some of the areas that you're wanting to focus on? What really touches your heart? I think you were mentioning Apple Daily and some of these others.
Now, there are like 3 groups of people that are in suffering right now. Mm-hmm. Not to mention the whole 7.5 million people in Hong Kong that are entrapped inside of Hong Kong.
Yeah.
The Apple Daily case, and then those who participated in the Hong Kong primary. That's for the pro-democracy camp. Yeah. And then the third group, it's those people who organized the Tiananmen Vigil, which is called the Alliance Group. They are all the main characters, the main players that they are right now in detainment, waiting for the sentencing, so to speak, right? Mm-hmm. And then now the process is they go through, they pleaded guilty, most of them, for the 47 cases, mm-hmm. but you have a special term that you use for people who want a lesser sentence.
A plea agreement.
Plea agreement.
They're trying for a plea agreement, so where you have to go in and you have to actually acknowledge that you did something wrong. make a public statement, or be willing to, and they're willing to give you a lesser sentence.
Right. The Hong Kong term is the mitigation process.
Yeah.
Right. So you read out the case and then hopefully ask people to write you letters to mitigate the sentence too. But through all that, I guess like a lot of us who left, we might have a survivor's guilt too, because we are not there in prison. At least we got our freedoms. Most people would reestablish their lives, and a select group of us would continue to do things to make noises for Hong Kong, so they are not forgotten. Like Jimmy Lai, that's the most famous activist and entrepreneur in Hong Kong, right? Who started Apple Daily, and then my classmate, Professor Benny Tai, who organized the Occupy Central in 2014. And then there are some other young activists that people who care about Hong Kong would know. And also a lot of unknown heroes as well.
So what you're saying to me is that part of the trials that you're experiencing and part of what drives you forward is you feel a very personal connection with Apple Daily, the folks
which I write,
yeah, because you knew them so
well,
so personally. These folks that are doing the plea agreements and the mitigating sentencing, and there's that connection there, and then also with the folks that with the Tiananmen Square vigil,
because we all participated if we are in Hong Kong.
So here you are, knowing that these people are going through what they're going through, and you can relate so directly to them, and there's this sense of guilt in that you should be there, or you could be there, or you could have been in their shoes.
Yeah, but then I guess by God's grace we are out of Hong Kong, and then we can still continue to share the Hong Kong story. Back in 2022, I drove from Toronto all the way down to Texas, California, and then Vancouver, and from Vancouver back to Toronto to meet the Hong Kong diaspora group, telling the Hong Kong story. And then because we have a YouTube channel, and also there are three things that we are working on continuously. One is the Global Prayer Movement for Hong Kong's political prisoners, the YouTube channel at Chin World that you got interviewed, that consumes a lot of time. Third thing, it's the World Hong Kong Forum, and this year it's quite challenging because we try to do at 4 different locations. We did one in San Francisco, the other one in Taipei. It will end with the Vancouver and also the Toronto stops. So this would hopefully finish 2024. And 2025 is the big the Alliance Group, which a lot of people participated because it was legal in Hong Kong before the government says no more candlelight vigils, and then they could the key players could face a lifetime imprisonment, which is more than surreal. I'm just reflecting on all of these things that you're involved in and everywhere you're going, and it reminds me a lot of Paul because Christ encountered him, and all of a sudden he was empowered to go from place to place to place to place, presenting the message, preaching the gospel of Christ, of freedom. And it's very similar to what you're doing, and God is giving you this mission. And I just see a really passionate parallel between what Paul did and what you're doing for the freedoms and the people of Hong Kong. The question then is, how is God, or what is God doing when relating it to Romans? How is God creating your character through these trials? And what is God doing in you and through you? I guess there's a lot of humility that we need, and also every day is like a leap of faith. You are fighting a system that is very powerful, the Chinese Communist Party. And then, we believe in one thing. We believe that we are fighting for justice, and also there's a lot of injustice going on in Hong Kong. These sham trials in Hong Kong. We have a kangaroo court in Hong Kong. And then those who don't want to keep silent, they are thrown in detainment, right? And then they put them in long detainment. I mean, for the Alliance case, it's almost 3 years now, the key players. So it's very typical of what a totalitarian regime would do. But how does it relate to our faith? Now, sometimes, you need to be very patient. I mean, you cannot really try to think about, and we are not trying to overthrow the communist government.
No.
We are saying, please honor the two systems that you promised.
Yeah.
Right. So these are all non-violent ways of expressing our concerns, and it's more than concerns now, because there's real suffering in Hong Kong. Those who are inside prison and those who live in Hong Kong, because they're all silenced. It's a totally 180-degree turn.